Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, and it's time for the first pass coverage Thursday of the season. And it's not going to be pretty. We're not going to be thrilled with what we see. However, before I go into some of the coverage numbers here, let me just preface everything I'm about to say by the purpose of this segment every week is not necessarily to call out certain players. In fact, this year I want to be very clear about this. I don't think it's the players. I think it is the way in which they are being told to play by the coaches. So there are going to be some guys that come out looking very badly after this video. But I am not trying to run any player out of town right now. Not really anyway. There's no player on this defense that I feel any animosity towards. I feel like there are much bigger things going on right now. Yeah, some of these players are flawed. I don't think we have the best players in the league, but I just want to make it very clear here that I'm not trying to isolate certain players as being the guy you should point the finger at. The guy who should have the finger pointed at him right now, as far as I'm concerned, are the guys on the sideline, not really the guys on the field. But let's take a look at how things broke down in coverage for the Seahawks against the Rams. So, linebacker was mostly pretty clean. Bobby Wagner was targeted twice. 2 completions for 24 yards. I can live with that for an aging linebacker. I don't think that's anything all that bad. QB rating allowed 116.7. Jordan Brooks also gave up 2 completions on 2 targets, 21 yards, so slightly better. His main difference was just that he gave up a little more after the catch and a little less through the air. QB rating allowed of 110.4. Now, Devin Bush was targeted twice as well, but he did not allow any completions. So it wasn't really the linebackers in this game. Even if you include Darrell Taylor as a linebacker, who he was the only edge rusher who got targeted at all. He gave up 1 catch on 1 target for 12 yards. You can't really say that the linebackers were the problem here. They gave up less than 60 yards combined, the whole unit. And that basically constitutes your entire front 7 for coverage because your down linemen aren't really going to be targeted or in coverage, period. So, honestly, this is kind of the area I think a lot of people thought we were going to get beat up on. According to PFR, it wasn't really the case. Now, we watched that game on Sunday. At least I think we all did. I know I did. And we kind of knew that the bigger problems in this game were in the secondary. So this isn't shocking, but at least there's something to be a little bit encouraged about with how the linebackers were able to get it done in coverage. So we go to cornerbacks. The good news is Tariq Woolen did play effectively. He was targeted only twice, gave up 1 completion for 5 yards. Now, that was a 3rd down conversion that he gave up, but I can't knock a cornerback for giving up a quick 5-yard completion. I just can't. It's not like he played it badly or anything. It's not like he did anything wrong. He just gave up a catch. Now, I am going to admit here, he was beat by Puka Nacua on the other target, and Stafford overthrew his man by a little bit. So, if Stafford does not lead his man too much there, Puka brings in a long touchdown catch on Tariq Woolen, and we're feeling very differently about things right now. That would have been just the ultimate end-of-game humiliation for Tariq Woolen. And he did get beat. So, if it had happened, it would have been his fault. Now, it didn't happen. I'm not reading too much into it. But that one play, which didn't work, nothing to do with Tariq Woolen really, could have completely flipped our perspectives. Witherspoon didn't play, so nothing there for him. We do, however, have to report some not so great stuff about these other cornerbacks. We got Mike Jackson. He got targeted twice, 2 completions, 31 yards. Not bad until you remember that he didn't play that much. He came in because Trey Brown was struggling, and then Mike Jackson started struggling about as hard. So I guess neither guy is that good. Or, again, maybe it's not really the players. Maybe there's something bigger going on here. Maybe it's possible that all these guys didn't just forget how to play football in one offseason. But anyway, 26 yards through the air, 5 yards after the catch, 118 QB rating allowed. Trey Brown had a... let me scroll down a little bit so my head's not blocking some of the columns. Trey Brown, 6 targets, 4 completions allowed, 88 yards. So he was giving up some serious gas in the secondary, I'm sad to say. I'm sorry to say. 88 yards, pretty bad. Pretty bad for Trey Brown. But again, after Trey Brown was struggling, we pulled him out. We put in Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson got beat up. So that's why I really want to be clear here that I'm not blaming the players. I really think there are things going on here that they cannot do anything about. Maybe if they were hyper elite Richard Sherman style cornerbacks, these superstars like Tariq Woolen looks like he's developing into, then they could do something about it. But barring those really, really good corners, there's not much you can do. Anyway, 53 yards through the air, 35 yards after the catch. So he gave up a lot in both categories, honestly. I don't think he can feel great about either of those numbers. 109.7 QB rating allowed when targeted. So bad. Bad. But hey, we didn't have a better option in this game. Kobe Bryant, it's not as bad as I thought. I'll say that. Kobe Bryant, not quite as bad as I thought in coverage. Still not really good. Still not what we want. But he wasn't the main problem. 6 targets, 5 completions, so that's not good. But only 34 yards. I can kind of live with that. I don't hate that. You get targeted 6 times and you give up 34 yards. I'm going to feel like you're holding serve at least. And Kobe Bryant's a player playing out of position. So I can't knock this too much. I don't think he played a very good game. And obviously, giving up those short completions is a great way to give up a lot of third downs. So there's still a problem there. 27 air yards, 7 yards after the catch, and a 90.3 QB rating. I don't know. I think I was a little harsh on Kobe. Assuming these numbers reflect reality, which as near as I can tell, I guess they did. It's just one of those things where you give up these short completions and you kind of feel like you did okay, but it was 3rd and 3 and you gave up the first down. But is that really your fault? Is it your fault that it's 3rd and 3? Or, I don't know. This whole thing is kind of confusing to really untangle, right? But Kobe was not as big of a culprit as I initially thought. Artie Burns got in there, I think, closer to the end of the game. 2 targets, 1 catch, 11 yards, all through the air. 66.7 QB rating. Pretty solid from Artie Burns, but small sample size. Too small for me to read anything into. And that gets us to safety. And this is where I was actually a little bit surprised with the results. I may even have to go back, look at that game, and question them a little bit. They said that Quandre Diggs did not get targeted but 2 times in that game and gave up 0 catches. So, yeah, Quandre Diggs, I guess, didn't get involved at all, which surprises me because watching that game, I could have sworn there was some stuff that is at least partially on him. So I may try to go back and see if I strongly disagree with any of their rulings here, but they gave basically all the blame to Julian Love. They said he got targeted 10 times, 6 catches for 106 yards. He gave up 106 yards in coverage, a safety. Oh, boy. I hope that number's not... I mean, again, not blaming players, not calling out specific players. This is a reflection of something bigger in my mind. But, yikes. 106 yards allowed in coverage, 77 through the air, 29 yards after the catch, 96.2 QB rating allowed. I mean, that part of it isn't the worst, but, man, it's like they went after him. I looked at PFF's coverage numbers earlier this week for Julian Love. They weren't nearly as bad as this. They were bad. They were not this bad. So you're going to find different sites that have different takes. That's nothing new. But, yeah, Julian Love, however you want to slice it, he got beat up a little bit. All right, that's your first pass coverage Monday of the season. It's not fun to look at. It's not a pretty picture. But hopefully there's nowhere to go from here but up. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming out later today.